Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to Nat Fashion Hub, the best fashion channel in the world. So today we are going to learn how to cut an overlapping half cut, yes, just like the one you are seeing there in the image. So if you are yet to subscribe to my channel, please hit the subscribe button and turn your notification bell on so that whenever I drop my videos, you will be the first to be notified. So without wasting time, let's go straight into the video. These are the measurements that we are going to be using. All right, we are going to be using a shoulder measurement of 15, a bust measurement of 36, under bust measurement of 30, and a half cut of 14. All right, so that's our measurement. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is to fold this fabric into two. All right, we are going to fold it into two. That's the first thing we are going to do, fold it into two. And how we're going to do that, we are going to be considering our chest measurement. So when you are cutting a half cut like this, you divide your bust measurement by 4. So if we divide 36 by 4, we are going to be having 9. 36 divided by 4 is 9, and we are going to be adding 1.5 inch seam allowance to that 9. All right, so basically normally if this is our 9 plus 1.5 inch seam allowance, you should be having what, 10.5. all right, but because of the overlapping, we are going to add an allowance of 6 inches that will take care of the what, the overlapping. All right, so it means 9 plus 6, that will be 15. If you add 9 plus 6 inches, that will be what, that will be 15. Okay, and then plus the 1.5 inch seam allowance, that becomes what, 16.5. so we are folding this paper by what, by 16.5. Hope that is clear. So this is 16.5. So that is why we are folding this paper by 16.5. I will go over it again. Because how to fold this is the most important thing. Okay, how to fold your fabric to cut this overlapping half cut is the most important thing. If you don't know how to fold your fabric, you cannot get it. So how do you fold your fabric? First of all, you divide by your bust by 4. So when you divide your bust by 4, for now we are using our bust of what, of 36. all right, if you divide 36 by 4, you are going to be having 9 inches. Okay, now we are going to add 6 inches allowance that will take care of the overlapping for us. So plus 6 inches, that's equal to what, 15 inches. Now we are going to add 1.5 inch allowance for what, seam allowance, that is plus 1.5 inch. That will be equal to what, 16 inches. Okay, so we are folding this paper by 16 inches, and that is why we are using 16.5 inches. You can see here we have 16.5 inches. all right, so that is that. So the next thing we are going to do now is for us to identify our shoulder line. Okay, and this is the shoulder line. I'm going to take out just ½ inch from the beginning of the fabric to locate our shoulder line. After that, the next important thing is to locate the length of this half cut. You see the half cut is what, is 14 inches. So this is what, this is our 14 inches. all right, now I'm going to add 1 inch seam allowance. Okay, so I'm going to extend it to this side. We mark 2 places. So we have gotten our shoulder line, we have gotten our length and the seam allowance. Okay, the next important thing we are going to do now is to remove that 6 inches. all right, that 6 inches allowance we added for our overlapping. So this is 6. I'm marking 6 here. I'm still marking what? 6 here. So this is a 6 inches allowance we added for the overlapping. So we'll remove it. So this is our 6 inches for the overlapping. We have removed it. Alright. This is for the what? For the overlapping. Alright. For the overlapping. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is to locate. We say our fabric is what? We're folding by 9. So this is 9. From this line here, this is 9. Alright. From this line here, this is what? This is 9. You can see that. So ideally, this is the area we are working with. So without wasting time, let us go straight into the next line we're going to locate, which is our what? Our shoulder. And when cutting, you divide your shoulder by 2. And since the shoulder here is 15, 15 divided by 2, that will give you 15 by 2, that will give you 7.5. Alright. So this is our what? Our 7.5 plus ½ inch seam allowance. That becomes what? 8. Alright. So this is our what? Our shoulder line. Okay. This is our shoulder at what? At 8. Alright. So having gotten our shoulder here, we are going to mark it a little bit in, and then we will now go ahead to locate. The next step is for us to locate our what? Our arm from this shoulder. Alright. Now alright, so after getting our shoulder, the next thing for us to do before getting our arm is to let's get the wideness of this neck. Alright. The wideness of the neck is what? We are going to use wideness of what? Of 3. This is 3. We are taking from this line. Mind you, this is where our measurement are starting. This is the overlapping allowance. So we are giving the neck wideness of 3 for this half cut. So this is 3. Alright. And the depth of the neck, what we are looking at, we want the depth of this neck to be just 6 inches. So this is 6. Alright. So from this point here, we have marked our 6 inches. Alright. What are we going to do next? We're going to join this point to this point, down to this point. Alright. But let's join here first. Okay. Let's join here first. Alright. Now I'm coming to this. There's something I want to show us here. So the next one we're going to do now is to locate our what? Our arm. Alright. And before we locate our arm, we have to slant our shoulder a little bit. Let's slant it by 1 inch. Okay. So from here, this is our shoulder. We'll slant it in by what? By 1 inch. Can you see that? So the next thing for us to do is to what? Is to take our arm measurement. And how do you mark your arm? Arm is gotten by dividing shoulder measurement by 2. Alright. So if you divide 15 by 2, you have 7.5. So ideally, this is our what? Our 7.5. But we are not going to use this 7.5 completely, and I'll explain to us why we are not using the 7.5 completely. We are going to minus 1.5 inch from this 7.5, and if you minus 1.5 inch from 7.5, you will have 6. So this is what is 6. Alright, this is 6 right here. So this 6 has marked the depth of our arm, and also this will serve as our was as our bust line. So we are going to take it from here to get the actual length. If you start from the top here, you have 7. From the top here, you have 7. So I'm going to join these 2 dots together. This forms our what? Our bust line. Alright. So on this bust line, we are going to extend this shoulder line to this place. So shoulder line here we have 8. We're going to still extend the 8 down. Mind you, what we are doing is what we are trying to curve our arm. So this is 8 down. Alright. So we join this point to this point. Alright. So how do we curve our arm? Alright. Our bust is 36. Divide by what? Divide by 4. We have 9. Alright. So this is our this is our 9 here. Look at 9 here. Alright, plus 1.5 seam allowance. Look at it here. Look at it there. Alright, so how do we now curve our arm? This is very simple, and there's a simple trick to how you curve this arm. Alright, now if you will mark 1.5 inch from this bust line here up, this is how to curve your arm, and then we'll mark 1 inch inwards. You see, 1 inch inwards. So I'm going to have a line here like this and like this. Now at this point, if you have your French curves, you can go ahead and use them. But if you don't have your French curves, you can still use your free hand, and simply you curve your arm from this point here into here, all right, and then back to this point. You can see how I've done that. Very easy and straightforward. Now I'm going to show us why we did not use the 7.5 here completely. Remember, I said you minus 1.5 inch from it. Now this is our what? This is our bust measurement. This is the what? Seam allowance. Now let's measure and see if from here to here we're able to get our what? Our 7.5, because our shoulder is ideally 7.5. You can see this perfectly. We have our 7.5. So if we had used this complete 7.5 without minusing the 1.5 inch, by the time you curve your arm, you will see that our arm would have been 9 or 9.5. That is why you ensure to minus that 1.5 inch before curving your arm. I have a video on how to curve arm very perfectly. You can check it out, please. The next one I'm going to do is to what? Is to locate our what? Our under bust. And we say our under bust is 30. 30 divided by 4 will give us 7.5. This is 7.5, alright? Mind you, our seam allowance is 1.5 inch, so that will take us to 9. Okay, so next thing we'll do is to join this point here to this point. Hope you can see clearly. Join this point to this point. And mind us, this is the what? The seam allowance. And mind us, this is the ideal measurement for these half cuts. The measurement, this is our what? Our seam allowance. Alright, don't get it twisted. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do now is to do what? Is to extend this line. Now, I'm going to show you something here, because you know you can choose to make this line come straight. You can choose to curve it. You can choose to do anything you want to do to it. Okay, but for us, we are going to allow it to come straight. So if I allow it to come straight, this is how we are going to have it. Alright, you see, and it's as simple as possible. Alright, now there are different ways of doing this. Okay, if for instance you want to give your half cut a dart here, it means we are going to add a 1 inch allowance for the dart, and the dart depends on where you want to locate it. It can be for a bust of 36, we can use a dart of a bust separation of 7 will be okay, which is 3.5 here. Alright, now we just mark it 1 inch apart. Okay, and we give it a height of 2.5 inches, maximum of 3 inches from under bust. Alright, so this will form our what? Our dart allowance. And if so, then it means when you are taking your under bust measurement, you are going to add 1 inch that will go for what? This dart allowance. So if you were given a dart allowance for this, it means your top is going to form like this. Your half is going to form like this. Alright, hope you're not confused. Alright, so without wasting time, let's cut it out and move to the back piece. So you can see this. If I open this way, you see this notch touches this notch here. Let me put it like this and understand better. You can see this. You can see we have our overlapping half cut, as simple and easy as I have done that. Alright, now if you are attaching anything down, it can either be a flea or it can be a fitted gown. What I want to attach down, alright? And even this neck, if you want, you can make it like a curved neck, a round neck, like a U neck. It mustn't be a V neck. Alright, so it's as simple as this. So let's get to the back piece. So we'll simply fold our fabric according to the size of the front piece, leaving an allowance of 2 inches for the zip. Alright, for the zip. So you see, simply we have cut this, we have folded this. I have an allowance of 2 inches here for the what? For the zip. 2 inches here for the zip. And as well, I'm going to give an allowance of minimum of 1 inch on top here, because I always like my shoulder line shifting a little bit inwards into the front. Alright, since I'm going to give a minimum of 1 inch here, 1 inch allowance here, see 1 inch here. Alright, so I'm going to join this to this. Very importantly, please watch how I'm going to curve this, the arm there. Please, very important. Alright, so the next thing I'm going to do is that the back piece, I don't want it to be deep. Alright, so I can just give it a depth of 2 inches. Alright, 2 inches. I don't want my neck to be deep at the back. Alright, so I'll just give it 2 inches. So I'm going to first of all cut this out here. Then I'll curve my what? My neck. Alright, I just see. Alright, I'll curve my neck. Alright, so the next thing, of my neck. So let's cut it out. See this? I don't want it to be deep behind. I want it to be high neck. It shouldn't be deep at the back. Alright, and please make sure you notch your zip allowance. Alright, these are zip allowance 2 inches. 2 inches. So I'm going to notch it so that you don't mistake it when you are sewing your dress. So I said I'll show you something here, very important. Now at the arm here, we're not going to deepen this arm like the front piece. Alright, we're going to make it a bit shallow. Alright, because the back piece of a dress is always bigger than the front piece. Okay, so you can see our half cut is ready. And even for the zip allowance, for the dart allowance, you have to mark where the center of your dart allowance. Alright, very important. Center of your dart allowance, you have to mark it. So if I should open this now, this is our zip allowance. Alright, so if you love this video, if this content made sense, please hit the subscribe button and turn your notification bell on, so that whenever I drop my videos, you will be the first to be notified. Thanks for watching. Thank you.